Hello everyone. With this video, we are starting a new series of video for the plus one CBSE students. So in this video, we are starting with the computer system overview for plus one CBSE. This is the part one of notes for the computer system. And the second part's video link will be in the description box below. So let's start with our first video. The first thing we'll be learning in this video is the basic computer organization. So first we have to understand what is a computer. A computer can be defined as a fast electronic calculating machine that accepts the data, that is digitized input information, process it as per the list of internally stored instructions and produces the resulting information or output. So a computer is a calculating machine. It is a very fast electronic calculating machine. The users, put an input to the computer. According to the informations we give or the instructions we give, it processes the input data and gives us an output or the produces and resulting information. So that's what a computer do. The five major operations a computer basically performs, irrespective of their sizes or their shape, are it accepts data or instructions by the way of input. By the way of input, they accept data, instructions, processes, informations, etc. It stores the data in its storage unit. It processes the data as required by the user. What instructions we give will decide what processes are to be done to the input data. It gives result in the form of output. We'll get the result in form of an output. And it also controls all the operations inside a computer. So those are the five major operations and functions of all the computers. It does not matter what their shape or size is. These are the five major operations. So if we look at this diagram, we can see some of the most important parts of a computer. So we have an input unit. Then we have a CPU which has a control unit, a memory unit, and an arithmetic and logic unit. And finally, we have an output unit. So in the input unit, we give the informations or the data which we want, we enter to the computer. And then it go to the CPU, to the control unit, and it is stored in the memory unit, and the processes are done in the arithmetic and logic unit. And finally, after all the processes, we get an output unit. So this is what majorly happens in a computer. Now, after understanding this diagram, we have to learn some terms which is really close to a computer, which is related to computer. The first word is input. So in the earlier diagram, we saw an input unit. So first we have to understand what is input. This is the process of entering data and programs into the computer system. You know that a computer is an electronic machine like any other machine which takes as inputs raw data and put some processing, giving out a processed data. Therefore, the input unit takes the data from us to the computer in an organized manner for processing. So input unit is where we enter the information or data into the computer which needs to be processed. So the process of entering data and programs into the computer system, that is basically known as input. We put in raw data and that raw data is processed by the computer and then we get an output. So input, I think you understood the meaning of the term input, entering data or programs into a computer system. The second term which we are learning related to computer is storage. The process of saving data and instructions permanently is known as storage. Data has to be fed into the system before the actual processing starts. It is because the processing speed of central processing unit is so fast that the data has to be provided to CPU with the same speed. Therefore, the data is first stored in the storage unit for faster access and processing. This storage unit or the primary storage of computer system is designed to do the above functionality. It provides a space for storing data and instruction. So storage is a very common word we use in our daily lives. So here it is for saving data and instructions permanently in a computer. So it is storage unit can be found in the central processing unit, that is a CPU. So whatever data we enter into the computer. That is, the input data is always stored in the storage, and the processes which we the instructions which we give to the computer are also stored in the storage unit. And finally, the output which we get are also stored in the storage unit. So we can say that it is for saving data and instructions permanently, and it also provides space for storing data and instructions, which includes input data, the processes or instruction which happens in the computer to the raw data, and also finally the output. So the storage unit performs some major functions. These are the two major functions. The first one is all data and instructions are stored here before and after processing. As I said earlier, the input, the processes, and also the output is stored in the storage unit. So all the data and instructions are stored here before and after processing. Intermediate results of processing is also stored here. So in the middle of processing or the instructions we give, some intermediate results will take place. Those intermediate results are also stored in the storage unit. The next term related to computer is processing. The task of performing operations like arithmetic and logical operations is called processing. It takes place in the central processing unit. CPU takes the data and instructions from the storage unit and makes all sorts of calculations based on the instructions given and the type of data provided. It is then sent back to the storage unit. So processing, it is performing operations like mathematical calculations and logical operations altogether form the processing. Processing usually takes place in the central processing unit, which takes all the instructions which we have, all the input data which we have fed into the computer, and it is already stored in the storage unit. It makes all the sorts of calculation in the arithmetic and logical unit, and then it gives out an output which is again sent back to the storage unit. So the processes are done according to the instruction which an user gives to the computer. The next term which we are going to learn is output. This is a process of producing results from the data for getting useful information. Similarly, the output produced by the computer after processing must also be kept somewhere inside the computer before being given to you in human readable form. Again, the output is also stored inside the computer for further processing. So output is the final product or the final produce which we get after we given the input, after all the processes, after the storage, after the arithmetic and logical calculation, we get a produce which or the product which is called the output. This output is also stored in the storage unit before it can be given into before it can be transferred into a human readable form, and it is again stored inside the computer for the further processing. The next term which we are going to learn is control. The manner how instructions are executed and the above operations are performed. Controlling of all operations like input, processing, and output are performed by the control unit. It takes care of the step-by-step process of all operations inside a computer. So a control is there on all the input data, processes, storage, and also output. Each step-by-step processing inside a computer and all the operations taking inside a computer is controlled by this part of the computer. So control mainly it comes to the central processing unit, CPU, that is the brain of the computer. It performs all types of data processing operation. It stores data, intermediate results, and instruction as storage unit is in the CPU. It also controls the operations of all the part of the computer. It also, as I said, it data processing operations as arithmetic and logical unit is also inside the CPU. CPU has major three components, which is memory or storage unit, control unit, and the ALU, which is arithmetic logic unit. The first one is memory or storage unit. This unit can store instructions, data, intermediate results. This unit supplies information to other units of the computer where needed. It is also known as the internal storage unit or the main memory of the primary storage or random access memory, that is RAM. Its size affects speed, power, compatibility. Primary memory and secondary memory are two types of memories in the computer. So memory or storage unit, we have talked about it earlier. This is where all the data input and output and the intermediate results are stored. So that's inside a CPU, which is one of the major component of the CPU. The major functions of memory unit are: it stores all the data and instruction required for processing. It stores intermediate results of processing. It stores the final results of processing before these results are released to an output device. All input and outputs are transmitted through the main memory. Control unit. This unit controls all operations of all parts of the computer but does not carry out any actual data processing operations. This control unit controls all of the computer, all of the operations taking place in a computer, but it does not carry out, or it does not do any of the processing operation. It is responsible for controlling the transfer of data and instruction among other units of a computer. It manages and coordinates all the units of a computer. It obtains the instruction from the memory, interprets them, and directs the operations of the computer. It communicates with input and output devices for transfer of data or results from storage. It does not process or store data. These 5 points are the important functions of control unit. The last one is ALU, that is arithmetic logic unit. This unit consists of two subsections. It has two subsections. The first one is arithmetic section and the second one is logic section. In the arithmetic section, arithmetic operations take place like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and if complex operations are to be done, it makes repetitive use of these arithmetic operations, which include addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So that happens in the arithmetic section. In the logic section, it is to perform logical operations like comparing, selecting, matching, and merging of data. These are done in the logic section. So that's all for this video. We'll be discussing the rest of the topics in our next video. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel and ring the notification bell. See you on my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.